Greetings, pen pals. We got a nice one today. This is the Lamy Dialog 3. This is, I think, probably the most expensive pen that Lamy makes, sort of a normal product line. It's a retractable pen with a 14-karat gold nib. Let's get into it. So it's a capless retractable nib pen. I'm going to show you a whole bunch of other retractable nib pens. Some are capless, some are not capless, and we'll go through the real important distinction there. In terms of size, here we go comparing it to a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan. So overall length and girth, it's kind of in the ballpark there. Hefty pen though, weighs in at 42 grams. It's pretty much all metal, plus there's a whole mechanism in there, which we'll get into in a minute. And there's a lot of stuff going on inside this to make this kind of work. So that definitely adds to the weight. So this is not a light pen. This is a metal one, matte black finish. I believe they make it in like a piano black, which is a gloss black. They make it in a white. Comes in a couple different color variations. In terms of, it's got sort of these like racing stripes down the side, which line up when it's closed. When you turn it, when it's open, they come out of alignment, and that pulls the nib out. Might as well show you that mechanism now. Twist it, nib comes out. Twist it back, nib goes back. We could show you the little door. It's a little sort of like hemispherical, shiny ball-shaped door. It's probably got the coolest door mechanism of any of the capless retractable pens. Just 'cause it's got that sort of, looks like the doorway to a James Bond villain's headquarters. That's the door strikes me at. Anyway, that's the door. You have to put a decent amount of force on it. It doesn't just like freely twist. So you gotta, there's a decent amount of force, and it definitely has a definite stop point, both on either end of its travel. And like I said, these racing stripes line up when it's closed. Has Lamy written there as well. That's the only markings on there. The distal end is just a round sphere, and like I said, on the business end you have that little door. It does have a feature that I remarked in other videos where I've briefly featured this pen, as in my opinion, the single most pointlessly engineered feature of any fountain pen. So watch very carefully as I open the pen. See how the clip retracts into the body of the pen, an absolute minuscule amount. If you look at it on this end, it becomes a little clearer to see. Let's do that again. See that? It retracts this minuscule amount. I don't get it. Why bother? If you had it where the entire clip sunk in to become flush with the body when the nib is retracted, now you're talking. Now you're talking, but this is, to me, completely pointless as a feature. Don't get it at all. But there you go. It's there. So that's sort of the exterior features of the pen. Let's talk about the nib. It's the only gold nib Lamy pen that I actually own. So it's a really pretty nib, dual tone. 14 karat, this is in medium, so it's got dual tone. It's got M for medium, 14K 585, and it has a Lamy etched on it. And of course it has an uninspiring plastic feed. It is the same form factor as all other, or most other Lamy nibs, like say what's found on the Safari. So you could, in theory, swap nibs between this and say a Safari or a All-Star, etc., if that's something that you were interested in doing. So I think it's worth comparing this to some other capless and non-capless retractable pens. So first let's compare it to other capless retractable pens, and there aren't that many. All right, in the world of capless retractable pens, what we're talking about is the Pilot Vanishing Point, both the regular Vanishing Point and the Vanishing Point Firmo, which are very, very different pens, at least in my opinion. And we have the Platinum Curidas. There are others out there in the marketplace, especially Pilot. They make a couple of other variants of the Vanishing Point. Don't really have too many of those, but let's go through these. So capless pen is exactly as it's described. It is a pen that does not have a cap. So Platinum Curidas, for example, no cap, has that little trap door. So the one thing that you would need to have on any sort of a capless pen is some way of closing up the top, because there's no cap. So Platinum has this little flap door that you can see through here, and the whole thing kind of comes in and out. In terms of size, let's do some size comparisons. The Curadas is going to be the biggest, mainly because this button, which has this absurdly long throw on it. I talked about this on it's like 2-inch long throw. It's kind of nuts. That is the Platinum Curadas. Pilot Vanishing Point is probably the most famous of the capless retractable pens. Again, one-handed clicky push button. Has a little tiny door inside that opens and closes to let the nib come in and out. The Vanishing Point Firmo is the same type of little door mechanism, but it's a twist. So in other words, you twist and the nib comes out, twist it back, and the nib retracts. When you twist it, you're going up against a little resistance until it sort of locks into place. When you retract it, the spring kind of takes it most of the way. So you just have to kind of like free it a little bit, and then there's a spring mechanism inside which takes it the rest of the way. So both the Firmo and the Dialog 3 are twist mechanisms which present a particular challenge for one-handed use. For the Firmo, you can kind of do it with one hand if you practice. This guy is next. I wouldn't even bother. This guy is like really gonna have to manipulate it to do it with one hand. This is not a pen. If you have any like limited mobility in one hand or something like that, don't get this pen. This is gonna be torture for you. Or if you feel you have a need to do it with one hand. The Curadas with the push button and the regular Pilot Vanishing Point with the push button work really well with one hand. Matter of fact, that's a major selling feature of them as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that you can do everything you need to do with it, you can do with one hand for the most part. Maybe not fill it from a bottle, but that's a whole different story. But so this is pretty much the world of capless retractable pens, as the Dialog 3 is one of those. There are other retractable nib pens that are capped. The most famous of those would be an old-fashioned safety pen. Now this is a modern safety pen, but they work the same way. You open up the pen, you say, "Oh, I don't see a nib here." You fill this by just pouring the ink right into the pen there. And the reason why they call it a safety pen is because the nib retracts. This top seals inside the cap and makes a seal, so the ink can't come out of into the cap at all, basically, because it's sort of sealed at the top there. That's a true safety pen. And then you kind of twist and push to kind of make the nib come out. This is a Noodler's Boston safety pen. Again, it's a modern version on an old-fashioned pen that was very popular, say 100+ years ago. They were pretty popular. And then there are pens that are not safety pens but made to look like ones, like the Hero H718. At first glance, you open up and say, "Hey, same kind of thing." No, not really, because this is a piston filling pen, so it doesn't. On a regular safety pen like this one, if you were to open this up, leave the nib unretracted, and then flip it over, if there was ink in there, it would all pour right out. There's nothing holding the ink in. This one, this Hero H718, looks like that, but it's not. It fills with the piston. It's exactly the same kind of deal as a piston filling pen. The retraction is kind of like a little bit of a gimmick. So when you twist this to retract it, there's nothing opened here that wasn't open before, so the ink would not pour out if you did that. Same thing with the Mont Blanc Bohème, same kind of thing. You open it up, doesn't really have, looks kind of like a safety pen, but it isn't. It's just a nib that retracts. Now this is meant to be a pocket pen, so I'm guessing the retraction does make the overall length of the pen shorter when capped. So this is as you can see, we'll compare it to our Lamy Dialog 3. It's a much smaller pen. But this Mont Blanc sort of, again, made to look like a safety pen, but it just isn't. So that's basically the world of capless pens as it compares to the Lamy Dialog 3. Well, that's pretty much what you need to know about this pen. Nice pen, kind of a pricey pen from Lamy. Like I said, I think at the moment this might be the most expensive pen that Lamy sells. But as we always say, pens were meant to write, and you want to see how this one writes, and I'm going to show you that right now. All right, folks, as we said, this is a Lamy Dialog 3. And this features a 14-karat nib in medium. And this works well. It's got good flow. I'd say it's about average wetness. It also is, I'd say, a good description. It's a true medium. It does have a nice little bit of bounce to it. Certainly not a flexi nib, but definitely has a tiny bit of bounce to it. It is quite smooth. Very smooth, in fact. So I'm really happy with this. This is a very, very nice writing pen. This pen does an okay job of keeping the nib from drying out. I mean, not a bang-up job. Not as good a job as you would think, considering all the engineering that goes into it. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about was all the stuff that goes into it. Hold on. Let's do that right now. Yeah, we're going to take a break from our writing sample to open this thing up because we didn't do that before. So let's open this up. You just simply unscrew it, pull it out, and you can see that you got a big, heavy metal mechanism in here to make it retract and not retract. And then you unscrew this, and there's a holder for the Lamy converter, which goes into here. And you could use Lamy proprietary cartridges as well. So that's basically how it fills. Now they also give you a little gizmo to clean it. So let's say you got some ink up here. The door is closed, so you can't flush it through. They give you an adapter that you can screw onto here and then turn the adapter that essentially allows you to open the door and then flush it all the way through. So they do kind of cover that case, which could be problematic if you get a whole bunch of ink stuck in the bottom there. So that's pretty much what the guts of this thing look like. As you can see, there's quite a bit going on in there. Probably not as much as going on inside, say the Platinum Curie Dots. You can check out my video I did on that one. This one's got a whole ton of machinery, for lack of a better word, going on inside it. So that's pretty much it for this pen. Let's talk about the ink now for a minute, shall we? All right, this is a very, very nice blue-black that really kind of goes straight down the middle, I think, between blue and black. So it looks pretty nice. Here's what it looks like on the color swatch. Not totally different than Pelikan blue-black, although it is a bit darker. Definitely not as blue as, say, Pilot blue-black, which definitely is a much bluer ink. Doesn't sheen much or anything like that, just a little bit compared to, say, Colorverse Blue Black, which definitely has a sheen to it. And again, Colorverse Blue Black, much bluer. Doesn't really have that teal to it, say, that Noodler's Blue Black has, or doesn't really have much green in it at all, say, that Noodler's Aircore Blue Black, which definitely is darker and definitely has quite a bit of green in it. A little grayer than, for example, say Colorverse Apollo 11, which is a really, really nice blue-black, and definitely not as, say, purple as Diamine 1864 blue-black, which is also a very, very dark blue-black, so it's not quite as dark nor as purple as this one. So it's a very, very right down the middle, straight-up blue-black that is just a very, very nice ink. All right, this ink is also from Lamy, so this is Lamy Blue Black. And this is a very nice looking blue black. I like it quite a bit. Really, really writes well. It's a nice color. I really like it. Again, blue blacks there will be a blue black review video forthcoming, I promise. That will be the next ink survey that I do. But this writes well. It's a nice blue black. It definitely has some color variation which is going on, which is always welcome and pretty nice. Like most of Lamy's regular inks, it comes in this pretty cool bottle, and it has this really nice feature where it has a spool of blotter paper wrapped around it, which is kind of a neat feature, which is very unique to Lamy inks. Personally, I don't really use the blotter paper, but I could definitely see people who would really like that if you want to keep that on your desk as sort of a conversation piece, and people say, what's that paper coming out of your ink bottle? And then you could explain it to them. Anyway, I think that will just about do it for this video for this week. I certainly hope you enjoyed watching it, because I know I enjoyed making it. And as always, until we see each other again, have a great day. Bye-bye.